Summarizing with the group by clause. What does group by do? What is the group by clause used for? Group by is used to summarize, to group sets of rows into smaller sets of rows, summarized or summary sets of rows, aggregates, which is really the same as summarize and group. It is also used to analyze. We'll get into analysis at a later stage. Let's take a look at a very simple example. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to join the act and show tables on the act ID. I'm going to find the act name and I'm going to count all the shows for each act. In other words, I'm going to find out how many shows each performer is actually doing by grouping it by the name of the act. So the count function acts on the group by, or the group by acts on the count function, by summing up everything or summarizing, aggregating or grouping everything into the act name. So let's run this query. And here we have it. And unfortunately our screen size is not large enough to fit it. So I'm going to go back again. I'm going to set the column. Now let's run it again. And here we have it. That's much better. Now we can see that we have, from the top, 2002 Grand National Rodeo, there are 10 shows. For instance, the Doobie Brothers, there are 3. And if we go down to Paul McCartney, there are 4 shows. And so on. Now let's run another simple example. Once again, we already have the act column set, so we want to set a smaller column for the venue. Otherwise we won't be able to see what's going on. What we're going to do is we're actually going to group by both venue and act, and we're going to count all the shows per venue per act. So really what it is more or less the same query as last time, except that we've added the venue in. As you can remember from the diagram of the concert schema, there are many acts to one venue. Let's run this query. And here we have, let's find one that we knew the answer for last time, was Paul McCartney, 4 shows, at Compaq Center. So let's go back to the previous query and find Paul McCartney again. We find he has 4 shows. Now if Paul McCartney happened to be appearing at multiple venues, we would probably see Paul McCartney with different numbers of shows coming out twice because he was at different venues. Well, we wouldn't in the first query, but we would in the second one because we've broken it up by venue as well. That's a very simple introduction to group by. It summarizes, groups, aggregates, and can be used to analyze. We will get to analysis at a later stage. All you can see here from the diagram is that I've taken Paul McCartney, Act 1, 2, 3, 4, and simply added him up into 4 shows, and here I have listing which shows they are, show IDs 1, 2, 3, and 4. At this stage, I want to make a change to the concert schema. Well, a number of small changes. First of all, I'm going to add 2 new tables, and I'm going to add a field to the show table. What are these changes for? First of all, a seating map. A seating map would be a standard setup for pricing for tickets for a particular venue. This would be applied to each show to generate ticket prices for each show. So there would be many tickets to one seating map setup because it's based on rows and sections. There is no seat number in the seating map table. The seat number is in the ticket table. So this would go by rows and sections, such as, for instance, in an arena, they generally section off the areas in large groups of seats or rows, blocks of rows, based on how far you are away from the middle of the arena, whether you're down the end and the middle. The same would apply to a theater where they have balcony areas and the area down on the floor, etc. It all depends on how well you can see. and the different sets of tickets in the different seating map areas are priced differently. The price multiplier column is an adjustment for each show that can be applied to each ticket. So really the price multiplier and the seating map entity and column are a setup mechanism for the tickets. The ticket table would contain the actual prices of tickets.